What is going on, everyone? My name is Jared Haas, and welcome back to this week's edition of NASCAR Mailbox after Circuit of the Americas. Let's dive in right into the questions here on this week's topic. Boy, a lot to talk about, and let's get into it. On first of the topic of RESPECT, respect, that's what we're talking about. I'll take a note from this comment from H. Holly D that says, I love how all the drivers are complaining about the lack of respect. My dudes, you are the problem. Fix yourselves. And more of the question that's kind of more suited with this from Andrew Yount says, something I love with NASCAR is contact, but watching the race this weekend, I think track limits should be enforced. It would create more skill-based and less of the unrealistic dive bombs where they can just take the runoff for no performance penalty. I don't want F1, but I think it'd help with respect because you have to be smart where you put your car. Do you think that's the solution? Respect of the track leads to more respectful racing? Man, respect is very hard to come by in this sport. I will say this much is more of a bigger problem with the system as a whole. Understandably, we had drivers the past of the Mark Martins, the Matt Kenseth, the drivers that took their time and realized that they can't dive bomb from 19th and try to win this race. There's a lot of this going on because in the scheme of things, a bad finish doesn't ruin your championship hopes. A win certainly does. So with these drivers trying to compete to get that win, to get into the playoffs, and for what we saw last season with 19 different winners, even though 16 happened before the playoffs, drivers are looking to solidify that. So I think it's more of what caused the system. It could have helped that track limits could have been established, especially coming out of turn one, but you're still going to have drivers dive bombing 4 and 5 wide. It's just more of a cultural effect of NASCAR where they need to have more of a race where it's not, you're not going to win this race from dive bombing from 19th. I think a lot of people need to have that conversation. But on the flip side, you're more entertained. Look at Ross Chastain. That's what he said in post-race. Are you guys not entertained? It's definitely an entertaining aspect, but it's kind of the debate of natural racing versus trying to inject excitement with the type of racing that NASCAR has produced a little bit more since 2016 with trying to do stages, trying to make the playoffs with elimination. They're trying to attempt the Hail Mary racing, and if you are successful and rub some people the wrong way, so what? You made it to the championship 4. I don't have any problem with that. Don't hate the game. Don't hate the player. Hate the game. So I think it's just more of an overall cultural thing that the NASCAR shifted with the new generation come in. And what I've seen in the post race, when I heard Jordan Taylor, he was surprised by that. Jensen Button as well. They were kind of taken back. But it's a big step forward for motorsports to come together as one, considering the fact that back in the 80s, basically open wheel Formula One called stock car racing, boxy taxi cab drivers. Not really respectful in that regard. And it's kind of more than I expected that you're going to be rubbing racing at road courses. It's more expected at like short tracks coming up in the swing of like Richmond and Martinsville. But again, with this car being so durable, you can take more of those chances at those high-speed car corners. So I think more in the respect, it's kind of more where the car's been, the drivers coming up, the culture that they're bringing along. It's kind of more the reason why that they're racing hard, even in the back of the pack. Like, I don't care if I get spun. Look at Ross Chastain. He got spun during a race restart, and he came back to finish in the top 5, second in points right now. I think it's something more of just, hey, guess what, drivers? It's part of the system we built. We've got to get more respect of what do we reward as NASCAR. And I think it's something to consider. But I don't think this is going to be something where track limits is going to help. But it was enforced pretty nicely with NASCAR. They at least were trying to be consistent as they can. If they were out, they were out. Because track limits, they have their purpose. But I don't think track limits is going to create respect in the garage area. And now this next comment comes from Justin G., who says, I don't think NASCAR should be doing road courses anymore. Well, I understand from what happened in this past race why if you looked kind of basically what happens to road course the past, 10, 15 years, they've kind of turned into demolition derbies where short tracks have been. You look at winners that have won at mainly road courses back in the day, in the 2000s and 90s. You looked at Jeff Gordon, you looked at Rusty Wallace, Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt. You had prestige drivers, Hall of Fame drivers, winning at these road courses. They weren't some random low-mo Joe that was winning the races. Understandably, I'm not knocking down these more recent road course winners, but it definitely took some prestige, precision, and overall knowing of the car to handle going left and right in a stock car. And with making it more of a Trans Am and with the other tracks as well, makes road course racing a little bit more equal in the sense that not a lot of these drivers are going to be way out in left field. Ross Chastain said that he's been practicing quite a bit more, putting a lot more emphasis on these road course races because they take up a good chunk of the schedule. But it's understandably that, the chase has changed of the road course, but I don't think road courses should be completely removed to the schedule. I think they hit their sweet spot with their road courses. We'll see how the other road courses respond. I don't think Indianapolis road course will probably see the same stuff. I'm more in favor of going back to the oval, bringing back the prestige of the Indianapolis road course. But with the other road courses that we have, mainly looking at like Sonoma and Watkins Glen, it's going to be really hard to dive bomb and try to do those type of moves, except for Sonoma Turn 11. But that's still a little bit different than COTA, as that had a lot more runoff space. So I don't think NASCAR should at all get rid of road courses. It's just the nature of the game has changed. And I understand that it shouldn't look like short track racing, but this is definitely a skill set that needs to be established in order to crown a champion. And that is all from NASCAR Mailbox. Until we meet again, Richmond Raceway will be happening this weekend, and I will take your questions from the YouTube comments after the Richmond Raceway race weekend. As always, have a great race weekend.
This is Wyatt Watson with Frontstretch.com. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out one of the two videos beside me. Go to Frontstretch.com for more racing content.